Hello traders, Rich here and welcome to Kucoin episode 15, and today we are going to go over Bitcoin. It might be one of the most detailed analysis for Bitcoin you will ever watch because we are going to go over three layouts, of course combine them together to know what to expect from a short-term and long-term perspective. So let's do it. If you don't know about Kucoin, it's one of the largest crypto exchanges in the world with over 700 billion traded volume on the platform and 10 million registered users from more than 200 different countries. Kucoin has many features like margin trading, spot trading, mining pools, staking, trading bot, lending, and many more with over 700 listed coins. If you don't have an account yet, I'll make sure to attach my referral link in the description below. And if you create an account through it, you'll benefit from 20% discounts on your trading fees. So let's get started. And as usual, cheers. Let's start with the big picture and then we'll go over the medium-term one, and last but not least, the short-term perspective. Of course, we'll be zooming in also to M30 and H1 timeframe. For those who already followed me on TradingView and Kucoin already know that I've posted this one as a picture analysis, but let's do it real quick as a recap. So we know that we are overall bearish, right? Trading inside this big dashed channel and black, right? So we've got our first impulse, a correction, our second impulse, and we are now expecting one more movement downwards. I'll show you why in a bit, and then a big correction movement before one more impulse movement, and then a break above it to finally say that we are now overall bullish. We've got a shift in momentum from bearish to bullish for the bull run to start, right? Now, every bullish movement is simply a correction. So now if we see this bullish movement, it's simply a correction before the next bearish movement pushing price lower starts. So now we are simply in this correction, which hasn't started yet, right? We are still in a consolidation. And I'll show you why. So let's compare this cycle, which you can see in red, to the previous one, which you can see here, right? We can also see it now here from a zoomed in perspective to focus on these ones. But first, let's go with the broad picture. So we've got 1, 2, and 3, right? Our first one, second, third one before this one happens, which would be the shortest one among all the previous ones before the correction movement starts. So the first one already done, right? The second one already done, and we are currently in the third one. Of course, this one happened after Bitcoin reached around 68K, which is the all-time high, and then broke below the previous low and started this big bearish trend. So now we are currently around this area. That's why we'll be expecting, if history repeats itself, we'll be expecting one more bearish movement for this one, for this cycle to end, to start the second one, which would be here. And if you compare this cycle to this cycle, we'll be expecting a rejection from the lower bounds of this channel here around 12K, of course, between 10 and 12K. We can't really know the exact number. So that's basically it. We are currently trading inside this movement here. So we'll be looking for sell around the upper bound, buy around the lower bound until eventually it's broken upward or downward. So if we follow this analysis, we'll be expecting a break to the downside. But of course, we can't really know, we might even break it to the upside. In this case, a movement to the 30K and upper channel would be expected. In this case, this will happen before we break it upward. So from a long-term perspective, we need a new major swing high to form around the upper trend line, as you can see, dashed black one, before we finally consider our trigger swing, and then after a break above it, then we can say that we are now bullish, right? So now even if we break above this, which is around 23K, we're just expecting a correction movement to this supply zone, as we had an aggressive movement downward from it, and the 30K. So now we know what to expect. But of course, for this scenario to play out, we need price or Bitcoin to go down and break below the lower bound, which would be around the 18K. Anyway, let me show it to you in a cleaner manner. So here are the three phases. Here are the three phases, 1, 2, and 3. And we are currently in the third one. So 1, 2, and 3. So these are the phases. We can see that the first one, which happens to be where around the 38, 40K support. The second one happens to be around the 28, 30K. So 40K, 30K, and we are currently around where the 20K. So it happens to be around support areas in terms of 10K difference. This is the first line I think to notice or consider. The second one is that when we get stuck inside a consolidation, which we call a build-up, it means that there are no buying pressure for the bulls to be able to push price higher, because usually when we have a demand or a support area, any rejection area, when price retests it, we'll be expecting an immediate shift in momentum. But if price gets stuck inside a consolidation around inside a range, it means that there are no buying pressure to be able to push it higher. It means that we'll be expecting a breakout of this support, okay, sooner or later. But we can't really know, like this is it's not it's not a proof. A foolproof rule, okay? But we'll be expecting of like more probable that price would break the support down, which is, as you can see here, build up, broken down. Of course, the confirmation was after a momentum candle close below it, like this, momentum candle close below it, like this, momentum candle close, this, and this as well. Let's read these ones, and fantastic, okay? So now, a build up expecting the breakdown, a build up expecting the breakdown. Of course, eventually until it's broken up or down, we are still inside the range. The second thing to notice is that we've got 29 days previously, then 34 days. If you apply the ratio, then we'll be expecting the breakout to happen after 40 days, and we are currently around 35 days. So like after a couple of days, we'll be expecting the breakout to happen. Currently, we rejected the low round. I'll show you to you in a like zoomed in picture when we go for this layout. But this is basically it. If we break above it, as I showed you previously from this longer term one, then a movement to the upper bound would be expected, which is this supply, as I showed you, 30K upper trend line, which we also showed here dashed. So that's basically it. In this case, we'll have a reversal or a continuation. In this case, we need the price to go down, break this one down. In this case, a movement to the 12K be expected. So that's it from a medium-term perspective. From a short-term perspective, this is the same view. If you break above this one, a movement higher to the 30K would be expected, and so on. But for like this layout, I want to zoom into lower time frames, or if you break it downward, then movement to this lower one would be expected. Now, if you zoom into H4 time frame, we can see that we are currently around the upper bounds. And if you remember, we were looking for buy around the lower bound. Here we go. But for those who have been following my analysis, we looked for a sell here, we looked for a buy here, for a sell, for a buy, and so on. So we are currently around the upper bound, right? So we're expecting what? The bears to take over. Of course, we need extra confirmation, a new low to form, a break below it, a new low to form, or like in this case, a head and shoulders, a break below it, and so on, which didn't happen yet. So we are still waiting, for example, for a new low to form and then a break below it. Maybe we're from a double top, maybe a head and shoulders just like this one, maybe a 1 to 3 pattern just like this one. So an impulse 1 to 3, broken downward, and that's it. Okay, so we are currently where? Around the upper bound. That's it. Okay, so lower bound rejection from it multiple times, upper bound rejection from it multiple times of this green channel. Moreover, we've got the horizontal one, as I showed you previously from the medium term and long term perspective. We also got this trend line, which is an entire zone. If you zoom out, you can see it, a big channel, impulse correction, and we're expecting this movement downward. This scenario would be invalidated if and only if we see a big daily candle close above the upper area. In this case, this one would happen and we'll be expecting a movement upward, just like we saw previously. But meanwhile, and until we see this, until we have a momentum daily candle close above the 23K, that's why I don't know if you can see it, I have my alert right here. Until we see this break, we can still like reject the upper bound, okay? And as an extra confirmation that the bears are rejecting the upper bound and now ready to trade lower, we'll be following the same logic as the previous two. So waiting for example, for a new swing low to form and then trade lower, or even price can still trade a little bit higher, right? Fill this entire range before we finally break low. So I want a major low to form and then a break below this low and below these two trend lines that might hold the price up, okay? When this happens, we'll be expecting a movement lower to this area. That's why you see my alert here. I don't know if you can see it. And then If we keep on trading lower and if we don't form a bullish reversal setup like these ones, then we'll be expecting further movement downward. And if we break below this one from daily time frame, a big bearish candle from daily, that's why you see my alerts here. So this is my trading plan actually. That's why you see multiple alerts. The first one is here when we test the upper band or when we break it upward. The second one here when the bears take over to look for a buy. And this one is if we break below the lower band. Okay, so that's basically it. And from here, to keep it as simple as possible, we've got two possible scenarios. If we have a daily candle close above it, we'll be expecting further movement upward. If we see this, a break below this entire zone and these two trend lines, then we'll be expecting a movement lower. And of course, then I'll be posting an update like for the upcoming scenarios. That's it for this series. If you like it, let me know in the comments. If you want to change like anything, or you want me to add something, you want me to go over a specific topic or altcoin or analysis, let me know in the comments and I will be happy to do it. Best of luck, and I'll see you hopefully on the next one.